And the next speaker up is Dumrese, who's the director of Slot Loevestein. And beside that has a history of working on peace and freedom and linking the two also for future generations. Ed, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jan. You addressed me as a speaker, but I'm only a modest director of this castle, and I'm happy to welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers, dear audience online, we are very delighted to welcome you here for this academic symposium, Let Future Generations Escape, which we organized in close cooperation with Maastricht University and Lab Toekomstige Generaties. We are very proud to host this symposium at this historical location at Loevestein Castle during the Hugo Grotius year. The rule of law and the way national and international institutions operate today is very much related to the work of the great Dutch humanist, diplomat, theologian, poet, historian, and above all, lawyer, Hugo Grotius. This year, it is exactly 400 years ago that he escaped from this state prison, which Loevestein was at that time, in a book chest. He wrote many books that changed the world and are significant for our institutions today, like Mare Liberum and the Jure Belli ac Paces. The world of Hugo Grotius 400 years ago was a different one than the one we are living in today. And developments seem to speed up more and more. So take a moment and try to imagine the world over 400 years, in 2421. It's hard, isn't it? We tend to think that we can shape our lives and future the way we want. But we forget that we, with all our achievements, are standing on the shoulders of giants, of the shoulders of our ancestors. And in turn, we determine, for a large extent, the world of the children and grandchildren and their children and grandchildren. What we do today is affecting generations to come. Like we are having today, for instance, a fervent debate about the recognition and accountability for slavery in the past. In the future, we will be judged about our deeds. US President Biden stated recently, we have a responsibility for future generations. And both the scary situation we are in today and the exciting situation we are in today, the steps we will take in the next couple of years will determine whether we will be successful in coming to terms with the climate crisis, in coming into terms with the Industrial Revolution, and in coming into terms with the fact that we need to leave our children a better society. End of quote. Often people recognize that we are at the tipping point of history and of mankind. Is that exaggerated? What needs to be done and who is accountable? Who is put to trial? Are we? On basis of what? And who will be speaking on behalf of the future generation? And what will be the legitimacy of that? Let us be pioneers at this symposium like Hugo Grotius was in his time. In the state prison of Loevestein Castle, many were imprisoned because of their beliefs and their thoughts. Today, we hope to contribute, also with this symposium, to an open dialogue and to freedom of speech. As a former military base, we fight, nowadays, for human rights, and we want to encourage the reflection on peace, freedom, and the importance of the rule of law, national and international. As a museum and heritage site, it is our mission to serve the current pressing debates in order to achieve a free and peaceful society in which we treat each other and the world with respect. Today and tomorrow, I invite you to explore and discuss how future generations will judge our stewardship of the world today and how these future generations can hold us accountable for the state of nature by the time we transfer it to posterity. Let me thank, at this point, all our partners and financiers, the Ministry of Education, Culture and Science, the municipalities of Zaltbommel, Grotius and Altena, the Mondrian Fonds, FSB Fonds, Van Voorde Stichting, Ballengooi Fonds, Stichting Teuntje Anna, and the Maastricht University. Thanks also to our dedicated volunteers and co-workers. And my special thanks and gratitude to the 3 members of the organizing committee with which we were closely working together over the last couple of months. Jan van der Veenes, the Dutch acting ombudsman for future generations. Rolf Kuhnemann, human rights defender of FIAN International in Heidelberg, Germany. He is online today. And Fons Komans, who is holding the UNESCO Chair in Human Rights and Peace at the Department of International and European Law at the Maastricht University. My special gratitude to Maastricht University for the support and cooperation. And it's therefore my pleasure to ask your attention for the opening words of the Rector Magnificus of Maastricht University, Mrs. Rianne Letschert.
Dear conference participants, welcome to this beautiful location where history comes to life and which thus in many ways provides a source of inspiration for the next 2 days. The story of Hugo Grotius, who escaped from this castle in a bookcase 400 years ago, will appeal to every child and perhaps to many adults too. But these 2 days are about our future generations. You are going to study their human rights and how these can be laid down in a law from a normative perspective. And the end result will be an expert opinion that we hope to adopt in Maastricht next year. Now, of course, I do not need to convince you of the relevance of such a document and its underlying theme. More than I was in my early teens, my 2 children are very much aware of the threats hanging over the survival of our planet. We are slowly realizing that progress does not automatically lead to a better world for future generations. In fact, we are the first generation that can have a fatal impact on future generations. And this calls for an urgent need to draw the political and legal consequences. And governments must take their responsibility by testing legislation and policy on the consequences for future welfare. The precautionary principle plays a crucial role in this. But we must also continue to talk to each other about what we are leaving behind for future generations. Hugo Grotius can therefore not only be seen as a source of inspiration because of his ideas about the use of the sea and public space, or because of his brave escape in the book chest. His personal motto also seems more topical than ever. Time is running away, or Rui Dora, if I'm saying it correctly. So don't let me take up any more of your time. Have a wonderful, interesting and fruitful conference.
Rianne too. Thank you, Rianne Letschert, and thank you, Maastricht University, for the good cooperation. I brought some books because we were, it was a book chest. No, wait 1 second, Ed, because I still want to ask you a question. I brought some books, the Justice for Future Generations, The Good Ancestor, Roman is in the room and will speak later, Future Intelligence, The Rights of Nature, and the tool and the work of the Welsh Commissioner for Future Generations. If you want to read it, don't nick my book with Roman's autograph in it, but you can read it. But Ed, if Hugo was alive today, and he would be here in this room or in the castle, do you think he would be interested in working on the rights of future generations, or what would be the topics that he would work on?
Hugo Grotius was a brilliant mind, and he was very well educated. He spoke many languages. And I think he definitely would investigate the future rights as an interesting exercise. He probably would write a large book about it, and he was also very good in marketing. He would, because he made very nice books and book prints, he used these marketing techniques. Probably he would go on social media and use those things. Actually, he was also a victim because of that, to the social media in that time, because there were cartoons, and he was also a victim of the political developments in that time. But on the other hand, he used it also as well. So I think he would very much get involved in the debate. He was on one hand very principled, so I think he would believe in the principles, and also very much involved in these issues which are very relevant for us today. On the other hand, he was a lawyer. He was also practical in certain other issues. So it would be very interesting to do this exercise.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah.